So in March we went to Capitol Reef. We rented a motorhome from Cruise America and used it to camp. I forgot to get any video or pictures of it. This first full day there we hiked up to Hickman Bridge, and these are shots along the trail. You'll notice some changes. The still shots were taken on the way up. The videos, like this part, were shot on our way back down. I did take a few pictures of kind of what the trail was like, and just how far we had to go to get there. So we had to go 7/10 of a mile from here, which was roughly maybe 3/10 of a mile from the beginning, so it was about a mile. Trail was really well maintained. Wasn't too hard to walk in some places, but in others it got to be a fairly good steep climb to get up and down to some places. Although we did make it, we didn't do much other hiking on the rest of the trip. And here's the shadow of our goal, which is going to show up in just a moment, which is the Hickman Natural Bridge. On the second full day, we drove a route called Loop the Fold that we had purchased a road guide for when we were at the visitor center. We started over on the east side. This is the Golden Throne from one side. Later in the video, you'll see it from the other side. There were hoodoos along the way. The road was paved part of the way, was dirt part of the way, and we're between the Water Pocket Fold and the Henry Mountains. This is a somewhat primitive campground that's a little ways off of the main road. It does have tables and a pit toilet there, but I would really love to go camp there sometime to see the nighttime sky with no campgrounds, no lights, or anything like that around. Notice how the rocks to the right-hand side of the screen, as we look south here, are tilted much more steeply. Those on the other side of the road over to our left have been left kind of level with the rest of the Colorado Plateau, but this water pocket fold has really folded the rocks. Also notice the color of the rocks has changed. Down below here is red sandstone, and up above is some white sandstone, but it's all sedimentary rock. This outcrop here shows very clearly that this particular part was laid down in either a shallow sea or a shallow lake, as you see the ripple marks. So here's looking north, again some very steep rocks. As you're over closer to the water pocket fold, yet at the road into the other direction they're more level. We're just about to the bird trail here. When we join the bird trail, we will climb through some steep switchbacks up onto the top and over the water pocket fold. After coming down off the Water Pocket Fold, we went a ways and then down through this Red Rock Canyon that you just saw. I believe it's called Long Canyon. It's part of the Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument. Over to the town of Boulder, then we turn north towards Torrey. And what you're seeing here is looking back at the Water Pocket Fold from on the shoulder of Boulder Mountain. Boulder Mountain has quite a history with my family from when I was a kid, yet we seldom spent time over on this side of the mountain. And I only remember once going to Capitol Reef. I really wish we had gone and seen it more when I was a kid. On our third and final day, we went on the Cathedral Valley Loop Road. The river crossing was so deep we decided to just go down to the other end and go back in a ways and come out rather than make the loop. Our first stop was here at Glass Mountain. It's a mound of selenite crystals, and I couldn't get the video or my still camera to really show just how much it shines, but it does. It looks like just a big old pile of glass there. And nearby to that were the Temple of the Sun and the Temple of the Moon. We went over and saw those, and then went on, continued north back into the rest of Cathedral Valley. road was pretty much well graded. This one little bit was kind of rough. One day we went over and saw the Egyptian temple down along the scenic drive. And another time, after we'd been on our drive, we stopped at the Goosenecks Overlook. One of the things I really remember about this, besides that it's just really interesting to see all the different layers and how the stream is cut through here, is some of those lower levels down there are actually the same rock formations that form some of the top of the Grand Canyon. Along Utah Highway 24, that's the main regular paved highway through the park, there are a number of petroglyph sites. They have a nice boardwalk and things over there, so it's not a real bad hike or walk, but you got to be there at just the right time of day, and we were not. They don't show up very well on my cameras, but here are at least some of them so you get an idea of what's over there. Another time, we also drove down to Capitol Gorge, and down in Capitol Gorge there's this viewpoint of Cassidy Arch. It was kind of hard to see the arch, but if you'll see, there's a person walking on the skyline and the arch is right below them there. At the beginning of the loop the fold, I said you'd see the Golden Throne from the other side. Here it is. It's not quite as impressive with all the rocks around it like it was from that east side. Now, one evening we walked out onto Sunset Point. It was, I guess you could call it a hike. It was almost just a nice stroll, but it's very, very scenic to see a whole bunch of the park from there. The highway is between us and those cliffs over there. Clear around as you scan around it. It came around to places that that we saw up close in lots of things, but this Sunset Point was a good place to really see much of the water pocket fold part of the park that's there near the visitor center. That when you're at the visitor center, it's just too close to really see just how magnificent some of it is. But here in just a moment, you're going to zoom in on a dome, which was just across the river and the road from where we started the hike up to Hickman Bridge, which brings us to the end of our Capitol Reef vacation.